Okay, you're going to start with this braided monofilament material, and you can get this from most fly shops or online from the San Jose fly shop. What you're going to do here is get this material, which is hollow in the middle, and it makes a braid, and you can stretch it, if you can see that. As you stretch it, it spreads out and gets sort of transparent like that. That's the key to the way this works. But it's very strong, 50-pound test. Here's what you're going to do. Cut about 12 inches of it, and get your piece right there. And then take an ordinary bobbin threader. This thing's got the red bead on the end, got a loop of wire right there. And go up about 1 inch and push that braid open as you insert the threader in between two of the places. It doesn't matter what side it's on. Then push the threader up about 1 inch and make it leave the braid. You can just push it right through. It's pretty easy. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to get the other end of it, which the end that isn't inserted already, and you're going to push it through your bobbin threader. Basically, you've made yourself a little grabber here. And then as you pull here, it'll come back through. Now, it takes a bit of a yank, but you can pull it right through and back out. And when you do that, as you can see, you've made your loop. Now, once you've made the loop, you can size it by sliding. Just pull the tag in there, and it'll come right on down. Since this is going to be a relatively small loop like you'd use for shooting heads, we're going to make it pretty small. Okay, now that is the final size, so choose now. Then, if you go back and look at the other end, you've got this tag in here, and what you need to do is you need to make that tuck in where it can fit through and onto the fly line. Now, we're basically going to repeat the process. Take your bobbin threader, right here, and try to go on the same side that your tag end is exiting, about the length of the tag end down, which should be, I don't know, around 1 inch. And reinsert it into the core, and then push it up. And get pretty close here. This is the tricky part. You don't want a big loop right here that's going to stick out and make this thing not very sleek. So you want to come right up to where it exits, just a couple of strand pieces of material down. You're going to push the tip of the threader back through, and then you're going to grab that tag end, just like you did before, and place it in the bobbin threader. You may have to spread it apart a little bit to get a hold. You're going to yank it through, and this is the hard part because it doesn't want to yank very much at all. You can get it. Use a little force. Pull it on through. Hit our lighting there, but we got it to work. Now, as you can see, that makes a bit of a loop right there, and that's why you want it to be as close as possible. You want that to be as small as it can possibly be. And this one may be a little too big, but it'll work for demonstration purposes. Now you've got this tag end that's come out on the end down here where you yanked it through. Back that tag just a little bit out. Pull it out a little too much by inchworming that material up, and then cut it off, and be sure to cut it pretty flush because you want it to be square so the fly line will slide through easily. Then you're going to pull the inchworm material back down, and as you pull, that should slide up in the core, and if it doesn't, just massage it a little and it'll go. Alright, what you've now got is the Chinese handcuff effect. And if you've ever used these braided loops before, you know that their strength comes from the fact that as you pull, that outer bit of material closes on the inner bit of material, and this is every bit as strong as the pound test. It may even be stronger. So I've used this for shooting heads. Works perfectly fine. Now here's how you attach it. Take some fly line. This just is a piece of material for demonstration. Decide how long you want that tag to be, because it doesn't need to be 8 inches long. Pull it off. I usually like to go down 2 or 3 inches from where the doubled over part is, and then cut it off, again cutting it square to make it easy for the fly line to slide in there. Okay. Now, take your fly line and just gently place it inside the braid. And it'll spread a little and it'll want to sort of rag out on you a little bit, but just grip a hold of it and push it open, and once you do it, once you get it past that initial phase, you shouldn't get much more than that little bit of braid coming loose. Then to work it up, pinch the back and push it down and grip it with your other fingers, then let go. It's an inchworm process. You pinch the back, push it forward, grip it with your front fingers, and then pull down at the back. You can inch it all the way up in there. Now, when you get to that layer that you put on the inside, ideally you want to put it inside that layer as well. That's why we cut it flush. So do your best. It may take a couple of tries, and inchworm it on into that layer too, and then just keep on going and try to get it in there. Don't have to go on forever, but try to get it in there 1/4 of an inch so you'll have something to grip. And what you've done there is you've made a double Chinese handcuff. Now we've got our loop. and it's attached to the line. Now there's a bit of difference there, and that can make a bit of a hinge, but again, you can choose your sizes based on where you put your piano wire through to begin with. Now, gripping the back of the line and the loop with no knots whatsoever, I am pulling as hard as I can, and I can't pull it out. Now, just to be doubly sure, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put a nail knot over the end of it. Again, using your bobbin threader, it's going to work as your nail knot grabber. Set it down the material about where you want it. I usually face it this direction. This is just an empty nail knot, so it doesn't matter where the tag ends come out. Then get a piece of knotting material. Generally speaking, 12-pound test mono is ideal, but I'm going to use amnesia for this video so that you can see it. Grab it on there, pinch it, and then typical nail knot. You just make some wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and pinch it with your hands. Now you're going to place the running line, the line that you wrapped around, in your bobbin threader. Again, this is a grabbing utensil, and be sure to run it back and get a hold of it with your left hand so you can keep it all nice and in line. Then you're going to grab the other end of your bobbin threader right here and pull. Covered it up with my hand so you didn't see it, but it grabbed and pulled. You're going to keep on pulling, and the end should slide under and through. If you've done it right, you'll have a nail knot already pre-made, and you may have to tuck it up a little bit to make sure the loops come in exactly like you want. Okay, once you've tightened the nail knot by pulling tightly on both ends of this as hard as you can, you're ready to trim. Take your scissors, come up here and trim both sides of the nail knot off. You want to be sure that you've set it pretty tight. You can pull it on down until the fly line gives just a little bit. Get in there and cut it pretty short, because this is going to want to slide through the guides. This is actually 20-pound amnesia, so it's thicker than it would actually be with the 12-pound you'd ordinarily use. Now it's time to make the end or prepare the end. You've got that fringe right there. If you happen to place the knot a little further up so that the core is still put together, you can just draw your knife or your scissors through there, and it'll unravel. And then when you're ready to cut it, come in there and just slide your scissors underneath, trim it up. If there's any raggedy bit left, you want to go ahead and slide the blade of the scissors up the line till it actually hits the knot, and then chop it. You want this to be as smooth as you can make it, because it's going to probably come in the tip top at one point or another, and if you got a fish on right then and it snags, that's bad. Now, some people finish this up by putting a little Zap-A-Gap or head cement over this whole knot. That's going to make it heavier, but it will make it smoother. Now, we got one loop. In order to make a loop-to-loop connection, this is what you do. I have another one here that's been pre-prepared. This one's on a shooting line. As you can see, I've used 2 knots. Those are the sizes they'd actually be. They're made of the blue 12-pound mono. Now this one's bigger. Remember, these loops can be any size you want, so I made this one large so it can pass over a reel. It doesn't matter, though, in terms of how the loop-to-loop works. You still want your fly end, which in this case is going to be the actual piece of line that we would use as a head. The fly end is going to pass over whatever's behind it. Then you're going to run the line through the under knot, pull it back, and make that handshake. If you do it backwards, you're sure to get a hinge. You want it to be smooth like this so it's not turning over. And then when you pull it tight, you'll make a small knot that'll go right through the shooting guides. And pulling on either end of the line as hard as I can't even budge it. You've got a knot that's stronger than the line itself, and it's pretty much about as good as you're going to get. So the completed system is fly line. Of course, there'd be more leader and a fly up here. And you've got the knot to lock down your loop-to-loop, the loop-to-loop itself, then the other loop-to-loop, another locking knot, and then the running line. And that's a shooting system.